All right, everybody, welcome back to Necessary Censorship. It has been a while since we've all been on the couch. We've had a hiatus video. What
The
about
Latin
a
version
couple
is
weeks
fine.
ago?
Yeah.
We're gonna get back into the flow of these things here. So we're coming back. We're back. Mike's back. Jesse's back. Bob's
Howdy.
back. I'm back. Jeremy behind the curtain.
Hello.
He's back. And we're going to talk about some horror movies. Let's see what we do. All right. So anyway, Jesse had a good topic, guys, and I think it was horror movies that should be remade or have been remade. Is it worth it? Or, and it kind of, I expanded on it of, does it need a sequel? And so,
Should it be remade?
yeah,
Or not remade,
or
but
just
a sequel.
should
Gotcha,
it? Yeah,
gotcha,
continue
gotcha.
on. So I guess we're just gonna see where this conversation takes us. But I guess it was kind of funny when I was putting my list together because I realized it was more than just a couple I was gonna be able to remember. I told these guys off air is a lot of my list is gonna file it under is leave it the fuck alone and quit trying to remake shit. That's kind of where I'm going with on a lot of these.
I would agree because when I was looking at it and trying to do some of my research, I was thinking about some of my favorites from the 80s and 90s stuff, and I went, holy shit, that's been remade? That's been remade?
Yeah.
That's been remade? It's like, it seems like the horror movie industry has just said, let's recycle what we can.
And I honestly
They ran out of unique ideas.
And I think a big part of it is because the generation today has such a slow attention span. They got to make it so it's more jump scares or more whatever, more current. Where there's just some movies that I'm going to have on this list that I think are perfect the way they are, and there's attempts to reboot or what if you want to call it reimagine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we'll see where this goes.
Well, I think back in our day too, there was a lot more psychological to the horror of it. I mean, there were some that was just flat out just
Actually,
jump
yeah,
out in front of you,
it's
but
funny
it
that
was
you
more
mentioned that.
psychological. Where nowadays it's like every 5 seconds it's something coming
Well, I
at
think
you.
everything's desensitized now
Yeah.
too. Like you can't just go with that blood and guts and the gore.
Right.
I was going to say you could get away with a lot more back then than I think.
And there's one or two on here that I have from the 2000s that I think are probably some of the most creative horror movies that I've been impressed with. It takes a lot to impress me with a horror movie. And
Or with anything.
there's been you guys have been disappointing me for years.
Nice.
Yeah, we're
So,
still here.
Yep. So anyway, I'm gonna go right to the top of the list because it's the one that popped in my head, and actually, it's kind of that when we were first thinking of reboots and stuff like that, and it's the one that you really didn't even know that they remade already. Is the Nightmare on Elm Street series?
Yes.
And so, just a quick history, and so obviously, 84 was number one, and then we had Part 2, Freddy's Revenge in 85, and in Part 3, Dream Warriors was in 87, which I believe. I can't remember if I'm confusing number 3 Dream Warriors or number 4 Dream Master that came out in 88. Those were the better ones, if I remember correctly. Besides the first one,
Right, I was gonna
those were
say.
like the 1-2 best sequels, and then it just seemed because if you really watch them though, it seems like they were just like, hey, we're making money on these. Let's just keep
Right.
churning out this crap. And so then you had Freddy's or Dream Child in 89. So I mean, look, you got 80, 85, 87, 88, 89. Back to back to back to
Right.
back of these things. Freddy's Dead in 91. They took a break, came back in New Nightmare in 94, and then finished it up with Freddy versus Jason in 2003.
I don't count that as part of this.
I do.
I get it.
Just because it's Robert Englund.
I get it, but
It's different because it's the Robert Englund Freddy. And that's obviously the one thing that I think that sets everything apart is that he's what made that series.
Right.
And so,
100%.
so they tried the remake.
Well, even him and they kept bringing back Nancy.
And she was in a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she came back in, I believe, the third one, but then they killed her off.
Right.
and then she was back in New Nightmare.
Right.
You know, so they see in the original one, he was a child murderer.
Mm-hmm.
He just killed kids,
And the parents
and
of
then
those
the parents
kids
did it.
killed
Matt's
him.
kind of, and he got
Right.
stuck in purgatory and he was killing people in
right.
their dreams. When they remade it in 2010, they remade it with Jackie Earl Haley. And so if you've seen Watchmen, he's Rorschach in Watchmen.
Yeah.
He's real short. They tried to make Freddy more. Well, in the original series, in the first one he was more serious, but then he just became more of a. He told more jokes, and
Right.
the
It was
kills
those
were more
one-liners
funny,
and stuff. Correct.
and welcome to primetime bitch, and
Right.
all these things. They tried making the remake was like more serious, and I think he was actually a child molester. I think is where they went with this too.
Boy, they went that direction.
I think that's what they went with that.
was
Rooney
smart
Mara
move.
was in there as like the Heather Langenkamp character in there.
Okay.
It just was not good. It was not a good thing, and I think that what it was missing, honestly, is the Robert Englund that came with it. I don't know if people were expecting, because people are so used to Robert Englund, and then Jackie Earl Haley's trying to do his own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
He's trying to make his own take on it, which is fine. Honestly, didn't need to be done, but this is one of those series, starting right off the bat with this podcast is I think it's hard for them to reboot it because of the impact Robert Englund had on the character. Does that make sense?
And two, I think that's one of those movies, and I think that actually kind of tailed off as they got into the third and the fourth and stuff. Like the first is the all-time.
There's only so much you can do.
Correct, because it's it's all about that dream sequence, and when I'm asleep and trying not to sleep. Well, I mean, after a while, you kind of run out of things that you can turn into. Here's how somebody's going to die, right? But that first one, when they did it, I mean, that was one that stuck with me for a long time. It freaked me out as a kid. Like that was, I don't want to go to sleep, and
Any movie
It
that
worked.
is considered like iconic in its realm, right? Like when you think of scary movies or horror movies, I mean, Freddy is.
yeah.
He's up there. He's like on the Mount Rushmore of characters.
Yeah, I mean, like right away, Freddy, right? Like at least for me, So kids
You don't
that
even
grew
have
up
to
in
say
the
a second
80s,
name.
Yeah,
It's just Freddy.
and that's our age.
Freddy,
I'm sure that
Jason,
as kids get older, it's-
Michael, Leatherface.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your Mount Rushmore.
Well,
And it's that.
just the scene where he rips the mom back through the door, just itself scares the crap out of you.
Well,
Which-
even the sound effects of the glove blade, the blades on the gloves scraping across the pipes in the basement and stuff. I remember after my parents, we built a new house and moved in, and my dad would tell me to go down to the basement. It was like an unfinished basement. I was like, hell no. I was like 9 years old going, fuck, I'm
it's
going down there. What
terrifying.
the hell are you talking about? I
Make
ain't
sure
going down
all
there.
the lights are on.
Right.
And like,
Yeah.
and then you
The
sprint
furnace would
as
kick on, you
fast-
just sprint
I
out.
was gonna say you sprint as fast as
as
possible.
soon as
Like,
you turn the lights off,
Because
you gotta
it was,
go.
but see, that's what it was. It was
Well,
that
the terrifying thing
psychological-
about it, though, is because
Exactly.
sleeping, you're supposed to be safe.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Safe
it's
in my
kind of,
bed,
yeah. And that's the thing. Like, what do you do when you were little? Like, you covered up with the covers. Like that sheet's gonna
Right.
protect you from something.
Exactly.
But now all of a sudden, you're no longer even safe there. He's in your dreams coming after you.
Yeah.
So,
And not only that, you know, when you get scared, you go to your parents' bed, you sleep with them. It doesn't matter where you fall asleep.
Right.
You sleep, you're dead.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, it's just that safety is gone.
And still, one of the best
So-
death scenes ever was when what was it, Nancy's boyfriend Johnny, I think it was, when he was in the
Johnny
bed
Depp.
and he got sucked into the bed, and then the volcano, basically blood that shot up to the ceiling.
floods the
Yes.
ceiling. Floods
That
the
was one of the
ceiling.
greatest death scenes ever.
Good old Jack Sparrow got pulled off. Yep,
Amber Heard watches that one on replay.
from the bathroom. God, yeah, no, and so I mean, I'm looking at my list, and I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
this
jump
is one
off
of the top horror movies.
while we're living it.
We're living in it as yeah. No sequel. God no.
Leave it the fuck alone.
For anyone not knowing what we're looking at, there's a commercial for Joe Biden running for president on the screen right now.
Well, I could show you the original trailer if you want to watch it.
Of Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Did they have that 50 years ago?
It's a Depends commercial.
Yes,
It
exactly.
is a horror movie, so
Anyway,
It's a
yeah,
horror
and that's the
reality.
thing. Like when you watch these,
that's loud.
you said is this the remake? This is the reboot. Yeah, it is the reboot. Yeah, see,
how it
this is
says
the Jackie
2010?
Earl Haley.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'd like to see a picture of who that is.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny now. You know that
Rorschach, wasn't he the guy that had the
mask that kept
mask,
shaking?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kept shaking.
Yeah, you know he has the line in there of, you know, they're not here to protect me or you from me. It's me from you or me from you or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here we go.
Of Elm Street. Don't know it yet.
Look at
But
that.
something is coming.
You know, and the
to
trailers
get
were so
you.
simple, and you know, like they didn't give away half the movie.
No.
You know, they
Yeah,
didn't
right.
give away half the movie. You know, just
You just see cuts happen.
What did that, Lieutenant?
they actually showed blood. You know, it didn't look like she just had mud on her now, like they do in the commercials. You know,
John puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from.
I mean, if you look at this too, they're not even like showing his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll kind of maybe tie into another one of the movies that's on my list of about less is more. And because that's the thing, if you think about it, Freddy really wasn't shown. He was shown in the shadows a lot in the beginning.
Right.
His voice, like you said, the
A lot of
gloves.
sound effects. A lot of
Yes,
sound effects.
you know, they don't really
shadows
show him, and that kind
and-
of goes into a movie that I will talk about in a little bit with Less is More as Jaws. You know,
Yeah.
and
I
honestly,
was wondering if Jaws was going to be considered a horror.
it's
I-
it's on the fence.
I consider it a thriller, not necessarily a
And that's the
horror,
thing, and
Right.
it's kind of where you know, like depends on the list you look at.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And actually, coincidentally, the only reason that works is because the damn shark was always breaking, so that's why it's not in the movie as much as it was.
yeah.
If it worked the way they wanted to, that shark would have
But
been
no.
everywhere, and it probably wouldn't have worked.
But they definitely use sound. They use
But the
you
same
know, the
thing.
shadows and stuff.
Same
And just
thing, yeah.
just
Yep.
nothing where it was like here's the horror figure, or here's the main
They'll
protagonist.
beat
It
you over
was-
the head with it, and that's
Right.
kind of what they did in the remake because everyone already knows who Freddy is.
Right.
So they're not like there's not like when all of us saw Freddy, the original one, for the first time. He's that unknown. We don't know who this is. When they did the remake in 2010, he's already, you know, everyone knows who he is. They're
Correct.
Even if you've never seen the movie, you've heard of him.
Yeah,
You've
you know,
seen
so
him,
that's why it's just hard. It doesn't make sense. Once again, we're going to file that into the leave it the fuck alone category.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know, I guess I'm going to stay, since we talked about Mount Rushmore of characters, I'm going to kind of stay in that. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
That's fine.
I'm going to, the other one it's such a tortured, and this one we might not talk about. I've seen all these, and it's such a tortured franchise, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is, once again, the first one in '74, Tobe Hooper's, I call it a classic, is all you really need to watch. They had part 2, part 3. I don't even know if you guys knew this. Part 2 was in '86, part 3 in 1990. Then they had a next generation in '94 with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey.
Really?
Holy shit! You want to watch a bad movie?
That was horrible.
Go watch that one.
I almost think we could do a
Such
whole episode
great
on
acting, though. How is it a bad movie?
It.
Bad writing.
All right.
I
Bad
think he
writing.
might even drop that in there. I'm
Bad
not
writing.
joking. I think he does drop that in there. It is so bad. And so anyway, it kind of petered out. That one, they were just running out of steam. I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of one of those, how do you just continue doing a family about cannibals that just, you know, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 2003, this is probably one of the only times on this list I'll say a remake held up against the original. They did a remake in 2003 with Jessica Biel.
Okay.
It was really well done. It was
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
correct. It was scary. It was my wife we went and saw it in the theater. My wife hated it so bad because she was so tense the entire movie.
Oh, really?
From straining and being like
On the
just
edge of her.
just
the whole
just
time.
not happy the whole movie. It's one of those that I go, okay, it's not as good as the original, but I enjoy it. It's a good remake. And so then they realize, hey, this is kind of successful. It made a ton of money. But spoilers, at the end of that one, Jessica Biel chops Leatherface's arm off. Really can't have
So you
Leatherface
can't- yeah,
running
you can't
around
come
with a
back.
chainsaw with one arm, right?
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
So I think they realized, well, shit, I don't know what to do with this anymore.
Whoops.
So they
So-
made his arm that was missing a chainsaw in itself.
No, unfortunately, that's Evil Dead. We'll talk
I know.
about that later.
Yeah, yeah. That's not a horror movie.
No, it's more of a comedy. You're
It
right.
is.
They liked the guy who Andrew Wisniewski, I think is his name, who played Leatherface. They liked him as Leatherface, so they did one called I think it was called the Beginning.
Okay, so
That was-
prequel.
So they made
sequel?
it a prequel.
Like an origin story.
So they had all
kinda.
the same characters, but how
Right.
the story started. And once again, I thought it was okay, but once again, to me, not needed.
Leave it alone.
Not needed. There's no point. I don't care.
The thing about that
You
movie,
know?
though, I liked how it showed how Leatherface did have kind of like the two sides to him, where he did have some type
In
of
the
feelings.
beginning?
Yeah.
Talking about-
You know, and then
Well, he was
because
a
of what
freak in the
happened to
beginning.
him-
He was just a freak. He had a job.
yeah, right.
He was working.
He was like a normal person.
He had a job working in a meat plant.
Yep.
You know, and
Chopping up meat.
yep,
American
exactly.
You got,
Yep.
you got a taste for
He
it.
cooked in the back of Quick Trip.
Oh God.
That's why those chicken tenders are so
Tornadoes?
tasty.
Man.
And then, you know, for whatever reason, they did one, I think it was just called Leatherface. Once again, it was like another origin story. Didn't need to be done. Then there came a rash. There was 2 of them that came out back to back pretty much that tried to be direct sequels to the original. The first one they called it was Texas Chainsaw. They called it Texas Chainsaw. Yes, that's all it was.
So it's just a chainsaw. And like,
Yes, they just said Texas Chainsaw, and they
You know who
and
will
this is
capture
with
people's attention?
yeah.
Let's lose the massacre.
Yeah, we'll just call it Texas Chainsaw.
It's 2 hours of just a chainsaw, just
Yeah.
revving up and down.
And this
Is
was
that a
with
steal?
No, it's
Alexandria
Husqvarna.
Daddario.
Husqvarna.
Alexandria Daddario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
she's in it.
yeah.
And then, so right away, though, you know, they tell you this is a direct sequel to the 1974 original one. The thing is if you follow the timeline, it's like 40 years later, yet Daddario ends up playing like the niece of Leatherface, but she's only like 20 in the movie. And the timelines don't make sense, and it's a horrible movie.
So literal.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
But
it's not good.
But she's in it.
Yeah, and she was the bright spot.
Yeah.
But that was about it. And then, of course, what they do, they were like, okay, this movie sucks. And so then back in 22, they're like, hey, we're going to do another direct sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we're going to call this one Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, they added the massacre.
So they just called it, so the sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is just Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was a Netflix, straight to Netflix.
Oh.
Because this was kind of like during like kind of COVID thing, like it's still kind of
Right.
because it was filmed during COVID, they didn't
Right.
put it into theaters. It's awful again. It's just
You really
it's-
just watch it to see the deaths and how.
honestly the best
it-
scene in that
Yeah.
is the bus scene.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people in a bus, and Leatherface gets on the bus, and these people
Spoiler
have
alert.
nowhere to go. And it's him just walking down the bus
Oh my God.
with a chainsaw,
Does he just like
going
hold it as he
nuts.
goes?
going nuts. That was probably the best scene in the entire movie.
So just heads rolling in the aisle?
Yeah, it's
He's
pretty
just kicking him
hilarious.
down.
What about the back door of the bus? Like, isn't
I'm
there-
trying to remember, Jeremy, did they address that?
I thought it was
was
like
jammed.
jammed.
It was
There
probably
might have been,
jammed.
but the bus might have crashed or
Right,
something
yeah, you
stupid
know.
like that. You know, there's
Somebody
some
probably
reason.
went back
There and tried to open it, and it's not opening. It's not opening.
Yeah, there was a dead body in the inside. I don't remember. The one thing that they tried doing is they brought back the survivor, the lone survivor from the original. They brought her back into this one.
And she was the bus driver?
No, she gets killed in like 2 minutes. They tried making her like Sarah Connor in the reboot, like when 40-year-old Sarah Connor comes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
They tried doing that with her, and don't worry, Leatherface takes her out in like 2 minutes. So it was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, and so once again, I kind of filed. That's a weird one. Like, I don't know. There's always rumors of a new one coming out.
I'll say
and-
this: it probably doesn't need to be remade if it's
No.
been remade 4 times.
Yes,
So it's
It's-
probably past the remake
That's the thing.
process.
They keep doing like weird sequels, but like reimagining, which is just the
Right.
same damn movie over and over
Right.
again. It doesn't. So
They
if you're
did-
gonna watch
they
it, I would
haven't-
say, yeah, here it is. I would say you watch the original and you watch the reboot and from 2003, the remake, and honestly, you're good to go.
They haven't tried all
That's a
naming
party bus.
conventions,
That's
though.
not a
The next
school
one could
bus.
be Texas Massacre.
Chainsaw.
The massacre from Texas.
Chainsaw from
I mean-
Chainsaw from Texas.
I mean, look at his
Massacre.
face.
Yeah,
His
I mean, there's
mask
all
looks like
different-
melted ice
So
cream.
many options.
But that's a party bus. That's not a school bus. There's
Yeah.
No, whatever. But it's in a bus, and all I know is, like he goes ape shit here. And the best thing is they're all
Streaming
filming
live.
them.
Streaming live.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't get out. Oh no, what are we going to do? How about we throw one
Yeah, that-
person at the chainsaw
That's
massacre
what
and
he
everybody
looks
else
like in there?
escapes?
He looks horrible.
Yeah, that's.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Whoop.
See, I would have ran then. I just would have ran at that point. He's,
You know,
he's
here's
holding
the
a
thing.
guy up in the air with a chainsaw.
How does he get
running past
yeah,
them?
go past him.
How'd he get in the bus?
The front door.
Someone was like,
door,
The door. Probably the door.
"Come on in."
I would imagine.
Well, he
the
Fucking
door.
paid his
creep
fare.
with a
He paid his fare, Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
He had it. Look, he just throws the guy in the leg. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. But the thing is, they just came out with a video game now, so you know there's going to be something else. Because
that's the thing. This is one of those weird ones where he just, it's an easy formula. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's not much to it.
No.
You don't have to do
It's
much.
run,
It's-
hide, get surprised, die,
But
run.
once again, it's just one of
hide.
those things. Like if you're gonna do it, honestly, I want a lot of it. I'm gonna keep coming back to is go watch the original, folks. Go watch the original. See the best, and then if you want to waste your time with this bullshit,
Well,
then go
the
ahead.
original, when you go back and watch it now,
It's
it's
dated.
It's a comedy.
It's
actually.
dated. It's dated, but you know what
It
though?
is
It's
tough to
But it
watch
was
original
scary
movies
when I was a
now.
kid.
It is
A kid.
because, and I think that's why you get remade a lot is because they're trying to, they're trying to make it
the
more
younger
entertaining.
generation.
It's just the thing is they try to do something with this, and it's just the charm maybe is gone, or like the scare factor is gone because it's new.
I've gone back and tried watching movies that I thought were
great as a kid, and
either
Yeah.
like super scary or super funny or super like that I thought were amazing, and I watch them again now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
the way it is.
it's kind of tough.
But
now.
but then there's a lot of them though that you go back and you realize how bad they are, and you're just like, you know what, I love these as a kid. I'm still gonna watch it. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
it's just
Yep.
So can I throw one
yeah.
out there? And I
let's
know
go.
you got your list.
No,
but can
I bet it's on here.
Can I throw one out there that is, I think will be debatable if it's a scary movie, a horror movie or not, but one I wouldn't actually mind seeing be remade, even though I love the original? Gremlins.
Gremlins was good.
I loved Gremlins.
Gremlins was really
The
good.
sequel can be remade.
The sequel. I'm saying the original one. Like, I think there's an opportunity there, not because of,
Gizmo.
With Baby Yoda, fucking Gizmo would go nuts right now.
Correct.
Would sell.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Gizmo was so cute.
And it was a funny
Barbie's
movie.
big, so you can bring back the Corvette.
It was a funny movie, but it was also there was horror to
I'm
it
telling-
that
I
was
love-
freaked out.
I
you
love
know?
that movie so much.
When the first time that Spike got wet and all of a sudden the little things started popping off of him,
Yep.
it's like as a kid I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? Like I ain't going anywhere.
That's a really
with it,
good
but
point. That'd
I
be-
think that would be a great movie. They've never remade it. They did the sequel, which but I think it could be remade with the, and I don't want to say CGI, but you know, instead of doing the puppets, you've seen the way that they can
But
enhance
there's something
things.
about that though, because the puppets were so good.
They were.
They
They
were
were.
so good.
They were.
I
See,
mean, the puppets were done so well. And I
They
mean,
were.
but the way you can do puppets now is you can do them better than that and make them look.
yeah, I guess
A little
I
more-
I lean more towards practical effects more than anything. It,
I don't disagree.
Yep.
I'm just saying that I think it's one that's
I
out there
think
that
why
people,
why would you want it if the first one is so good though? That goes to the argument. Then why would you want it remade? Why don't you just
because I think it would be interesting to see it made in current times as opposed to in the 80s. You know,
Okay,
just
fair enough.
adding in, you know, just what's going on in the world and kind of how things are now with how things have advanced. I think it may be interesting to see,
Okay.
and I think you could. I look at it and I say, you know, there's stupid things like the whole eating after midnight and everything, you know, and you got to
the coronavirus made a gremlin.
something like that, or you know, like they're
Came from China.
They're
An
using
old Chinaman.
they're-
That's
they're-
where Gizmo came from. Just
Well,
saying.
no, but something stupid like, you know, hey, they ordered DoorDash and they had the food delivered after
Yeah,
midnight.
you're
You know,
right.
something like where you see what I'm saying though. It's stupid, but it's
You bring-
humorous
you bring the
because
modern
you're
times
bringing the
into
modern
the
times
rules,
into
you
it,
know,
right?
yep.
And so I just
What year was
think
that? 84. Yeah.
It was
I'd watch
84.
It. I'd
Yeah.
watch it.
Well,
Watch it.
here's two facts for you. Howie Mandel did
Gizmo's
Gizmo,
voice. Yep.
and then Frank Walker, who does Optimus Prime, did was it Stripe?
No, I want that one.
yes. It was Spike, I think, or Stripe. It was what?
Stripe.
It was Stripe, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I have it right here on the screen.
And see the
The
to
guy that
answer
does
your
Optimus
question-
Prime's voice, you said?
Yeah, Frank Walker.
To answer your question of why you'd want to redo something, because the classic's still going to be there. The
Gracias.
classic
Yeah.
is still good.
I just asked.
So
yeah.
you know why not see if you can get a whole nother audience and a
And
whole other
that's-
fan base.
That's not one of
With
those
the
iconic
newer
ones,
kids,
right?
you know?
Where there's a
Yeah,
specific
it's-
character that you're gonna ruin, or
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
think you could still
You know.
do Gizmo as Gizmo and,
Yeah,
and Stripe
yeah.
as Stripe, but there's things you can add in.
I mean, it could be one
That's
of
a
those
good one.
movies.
I think that would be a good movie to remake.
I think it could be
Nice.
one of those movies where
Nice.
they keep the
Nicely
keep
done.
the
That's a
good
original
one.
script.
I'm going to stop talking. I'm going on a high note.
No, and I got another one. I think I'm
Gets up
gonna,
and leaves. I'm out.
I have one. I'm going to draw
See
you
you
out
later.
again, Jesse.
I like it. I like it.
I have another movie I'm going to draw you out, and actually, Jeremy, I might draw you out on this one too. There has been talks of a sequel for
We're
this one
just
for
gonna
a
sit here
while.
and do nothing, Mike.
He might know it. He might. Well, he'll know it, but whether he liked it, The Lost Boys.
Oh, I was going to go there.
Great movie.
I was going to
Great
go there.
movie.
So
Such an amazing movie.
I don't. There has been, and actually, so when I did a little research on it, apparently there's a bunch of them that Corey Feldman has done. I don't know if they are shorts or something like that, but he's like one of
Really?
the Frog
Right.
brothers. So yeah, like if you, there's weird ones that have been in there,
Yeah,
and I don't
there's
know.
3 movies.
And that's the thing that So I think the last two, were like just direct to DVD type things, like
Right.
they just put them out.
Yeah.
There's been talks of a reboot, or an actually I've been told like technically a sequel, like, but a reboot because it'll take place in current times. And actually, what it was I have the names of the actors here. Jaden Martell, who played Bill from the It remake, the kid who stutters.
Yes.
He was going to be in there, and then Noah Jupe. He was the son from A Quiet Place.
Okay, yeah.
If you saw
I
that,
know- I know the
those would be
movie,
the
but
two
it's-
leads. That there's been talks of them redoing,
Taking over the Corys.
And that's the thing, and I don't know, like, because when I read the synopsis of what they were trying to do with it, it sounds like it's going to be a sequel / reboot, meaning like it's going to take place in the same universe as the original. So I guess that I bet the whole reason behind that is so that they can have Corey Feldman
Right. Oh, they have
come.
to.
You know what I mean?
You
Yeah.
got to bring in some of that original cast.
Yeah, and the thing with Lost Boys and that I think is so good, and the thing that really goes off of it is Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, he is just a creepy dude. When he was younger like that, you go like Stand By Me and all that stuff. He's just a freaky, evil looking dude.
I've never seen the movie,
Especially
so I can't talk
as
about it.
No?
the vampire,
You've never seen Lost Boys?
The vampire
No.
makeup.
It's good.
It was scary.
It
when I
was-
in
it was-
actually.
You've
was
seen
a-
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great vampire movie when vampire movies weren't the ultimate thing. Like
And
this is
I-
pre, Interview with a Vampire and all that.
Right,
and
right.
it was really a great, well done. And in all honesty, you can see Kiefer there. That's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
picture.
I've seen them, yeah. But,
But
I've never watched
for
the
me,
whole
one of the
thing.
biggest things was that soundtrack too. Was just like
You know what's gonna be
phenomenal
amazing?
music.
Is the saxophone shirtless guy from that one, the I Still Believe guy? He is still around, and I guarantee you he would pitch to get into the reboot.
Yep.
Still playing I Still Believe. Yep, there he is.
There it is.
He still does that shit. He still goes on tour.
Is that Shawn Michaels? That looks like Shawn Michaels.
Could be.
That's the Heartbreak Kid. That's the Heartbreak Kid.
Oh my goodness.
He made love to that saxophone
Oh, he
when he
did.
was giving it. He was, but that's one
Oh,
of those.
he's out there. He's out there doing
Yes,
conventions.
see? I'm telling you, he's around.
Bring him back.
I love the jockstrap.
Yeah, he's still got it because
On
he's
top
Why
of
did
the
you have to
chains.
use the cursor with
because
the
that's what he
hand
wore
to
in
rub
the
it?
in the movie. Yeah, it's
Hey,
Jeremy. Go
let me-
down to the
let me
photo
get
right
that
there
for
with
you.
his arm up. See, like that. No, up that one. See, that's the thing of it. I still believe. Pointing. Oh yeah.
It's a greased up sand.
But I agree
Just
with you.
fire
Sax
going
guy.
nuts by it. Yeah.
I think that they could do not a remake, but a sequel to it. But
because it's a
30
movie that
years
we all
later or
grew up to,
whatever.
but it's
Right.
not iconic enough that it's
Well,
like people are watching it. Like I'll rewatch
I
it
found out what I'm buying on Etsy. It's going on the shelf.
right there.
But on top of that, I mean, what a time to cash in on the vampire,
Yeah.
the movement.
Yep.
I mean, I know Twilight's a bit aged, but people are still into the whole scene.
Yeah.
And you had all these great vampire movies that have come out.
Team Jacob.
Bring out one of the best that was ever made with
I
this
don't even
one.
know it because I've never watched it.
And I think a lot of the new, like
I'll
the
go with
younger
you on that
kids,
one.
the new audiences would take that as the next vampire.
There's
step,
a way
you
to
know,
do
instead
that.
of-
Oh,
There's a
they
way to
could continue to
market
build
it,
on
yeah.
that,
Yep.
especially if they're taking some of these actors and having them in place, that have been in roles that are known and they're younger actors. I think it would be.
And I think it would be funny if you had and I know it's kind of schlocky, and that's kind of thing you do is you always bring back the older characters to come back. But if you brought Corey Feldman, I think it would be funny. You would have him, and then if he has a son that's just as kind of like paranoid about the whole vampires as he was, read this comic and do this.
Well,
and
that
read, him and
Wouldn't
his,
that be your connection then to be? The
that's my
same
point.
world
Yeah,
and-
Exactly.
that's my point. And that's why I think it would work.
It
would
goes
work.
just in line with that great remake they did with 2016 and Ghostbusters. They brought back Dan Aykroyd. They
Anyway,
brought
moving
back
on. Moving on.
I have a
That's
movie
for a
you,
different.
Jason.
Yes, Jeremy.
That's a different discussion. Jason.
You might
That's
find this one really scary.
greatest movie of
Jason. There was a
2016.
movie in 2016 called Ghostbusters.
It was horrifying.
It was a horror film.
It was horrifying. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen it once,
It scared
You
me
were
so
there?
bad.
and I got pretty loaded watching it. So
So
don't worry. Eventually, me and Bob will have a dispute on this because he wants to get me going, and that's
I just want
fine.
to push his buttons.
And that's
just like
fine.
with the new
I
Star Wars too.
despise that movie with a passion. So.
Which one are we talking about?
The girl Ghostbusters.
Would
Yes.
you pay attention,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Mike, the
Keep
best
up.
Ghostbusters that's out there.
Oh,
Mike, the special effects were amazing. I mean,
Back to Team Jacob. I don't want to miss an opportunity to talk
Yes.
about Twilight.
Go ahead.
Well,
we're gonna let that. opportunity
Does it need to be remade?
Once we're done
I
this
don't-
with this episode, you can talk Twilight all you want.
I don't think
be a
it's a
one-man
remake.
podcast?
It's not really a horror movie either.
No,
though. It's
it's
more
not.
of a
It's a love movie.
tweeny love, right? Yeah.
But there's vampires.
Your wife made you go see it, didn't she?
No,
My
I'll,
wife
I'll
at the
talk to
time
that
did,
because I
actually.
remember that he had the books and he told me he was the one that read them. It had nothing to do with his wife or anybody in his life. It was Mike.
I've read the book.
Guilty
They're
pleasure.
actually
I
really
enjoyed
good.
the movies.
See?
I never read the books, but
Okay.
I enjoyed the movie for what
You
it
had
was.
the books.
The
There
books
were
are
books on the
science
shelf.
fiction, actually.
Don't tell me you didn't read them.
But I
Hardco-
was Team Jacob.
Were they hardcover or paperback?
They
They were
started
hardcover.
They're
That's okay.
hardcover. Oh, they're hardcover.
Platinum edition.
It was a series.
Day
like,
one.
I was gonna say I think I
It was, the
bought.
whole, it was the
print.
whole box edition.
I think I bought her
you know.
like the box set as
Yeah.
like
It
a
was still
Christmas
wrapped.
gift or something.
Holy crap!
What other you got? What else you got on there?
I got a couple. I'm not gonna. I'm just. Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How
How about
about
you go?
How about Scream? Like it's,
That is on here, and so
But they
I'm gonna ask your
remade
opinion. Go ahead.
they did.
I want you to talk about it for a minute. I want to
So
see
I
where you go
just-
with this.
They continued it, really.
Yeah, there was no remake, but it was a ton of.
Jesse,
two,
what did I write there? I wrote endless sequels.
Yeah,
Right.
just endless sequel, one
And
after
so
another.
they did attempt a reboot, and Jeremy, maybe you can confirm with the TV show, right? Wasn't there an MTV
Did they?
TV
Okay.
show called Scream?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
That wasn't, I think, an attempt. The MTV younger. It was more of a, my wife tried watching it because she loves Scream movies, and she wasn't a big fan of it because it seemed like they were really catering for teens, younger generation and stuff. So they tried. This was before, I believe, the TV series took place right before. What the most recent one was 6 that just came out, I think. So it was the one. It was between Scream 4 and Scream 5.
You just called Scream.
See, I enjoyed the first batch, the Wes Craven.
I never seen those.
Yeah, the first one was great.
The first one's fantastic.
That was amazing.
Because it was one of those, and the reason they did it, and the reason it works so well is because it takes all those horror movie tropes that are in Friday the 13th and
I mean, they flat
Halloween
out-
and Freddy, and they just
they have the expert that talks about. I forget his name.
Jamie Kennedy,
Yeah, Jamie
right?
Kennedy.
Yeah,
He's
Jamie
sitting there.
Kennedy,
He's the
yeah.
expert on horror movies. He goes, "Oh, you
Yeah.
do this, it does that," and they do that, but it still works, even though
and
things
the
are
killers
coming.
were based. They were using horror movies as
Right.
their motives and
So
stuff.
it makes the killer seem real to everybody because
Right.
they're just
Yeah.
following what they see. It's a copycat.
Yeah.
I never seen the movie though, but
It was
No.
good.
never seen any of them.
I wasn't a fan of the 5th one that came out in 22, but actually the most recent one, Scream 6, I actually kind of enjoyed. They kind of they went to New York City.
Never seen it.
So they got out of Woodbury. It just came out. It's probably just made it to streaming and stuff like that.
March 10th of this year.
Yeah, and I thought it was decent. It was good. They Jenna Ortega, she was in number 5. for a little bit, and she's more the main character, number 6. And I thought it was actually pretty decent because once again, like I said, they take it to the big city. You're in New York.
Okay.
You're out of Woodbury. You're out of these small towns.
Right.
They're like, let's go to New York. Let's make it great. And it actually was pretty decent. The thing that that's hard to do that I think they're struggling with is how do you keep. See, like the first, you said the Wes Craven match, there was always a connection. The Killers, it was like, it's like that Charlie Day meme with all the red strings, you know,
Right,
him.
right.
All the killers had some sort of connection. You know, he had like, one of them's mom was a killer in the second one, I think it was. And, you know, all these friends, and then there's copycats and stuff. It tends to get a little goofy and a little redundant.
It does.
That's
It can
what's
only
kind
do it
of
so much. It can only.
Yeah, and it's kind. I mean, the thing that holds it together though is that they are kind of standalone movies. I think that's maybe what you were implying a little bit. They're kind of standalone for the most part. You can just watch. You can pick one up and watch it. You may not know who that killer is connected to from a previous movie, but whatever. The whole point of the movie is the mystery. It's kind of the whodunit.
Well,
like,
and
you know, that's what's
and
kinda
you don't
good
have.
about it.
It's not like, you know, your Halloweens or your Friday the 13th where it's the same killer.
Same killer.
going through.
It's
It's
not
always
Michael,
different
it's not
killers.
Jason,
It's just
it's
that
not
it's always the
Freddy.
same
Yeah.
character.
You know, with the mask and everything
Yeah,
like that.
no,
So, and there's a connection somewhere along the lines where it got passed down, or they read it, or they saw the news articles back when it first happened, and I'm going to copy that and stuff. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, big
so
time.
it is, to your point, endless sequels that could be made with it.
That's
I think though, at a point you run out of, okay, how are we going to make this,
you know,
scary?
and that's the thing. Like
Startling.
Nev Campbell didn't come back for the most recent one, I think, because they didn't want to pay her enough.
Yeah,
that's her reasoning.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Like eventually, it's kind of like, you know. And I think what this movie proved though is that it can be successful without her in it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the old,
Shocking.
you know, who's the chick from Friends? Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox is in there.
She's still in this one. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you know,
Matt LeBlanc. Matt LeBlanc.
No,
LeBlanc.
that's a guy.
Oh,
That's a guy.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's. I think you can kind of prove that you don't need the old characters to keep it relevant. You know,
Right.
like
Especially this one too. Like it's the whole copycat thing. Like there's, like you said, it can be a brand new story with no true ties.
yeah. And if I remember correctly, this 6th one there was a very small tie to some of the previous killers and stuff, but they really weren't connected at all. It was kind of like they took the mask, the screen
Right.
mask, and the character, and they ran with it on their own.
well,
little
it
bit,
was
if I
a
remember
tie
correctly.
to the one that came out in 2022.
Well, that.
So it was a tie that way where.
Yes, yeah, just because of the character, Jenna Ortega's character, and all that and stuff.
Well,
but,
no, I don't want to ruin the movie, but
Yeah,
there was
whatever.
a big tie from the.
I
first
see.
one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. All right. I told you guys this was going to be a long one, possibly 2 or even a 3-parter. So if you like what we're doing, we're going to be back again. I got a whole list of stuff to talk about. So if you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you like. But like I said, we got a lot more movies to talk about. So see you guys next time. Good night.